Welcome to Three Takes. I'm Ishana.
I'm Manali.
I'm Mona.
Three women.
Three generations.
One family, unpacking the questions we all ask.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Three Takes. So I recently have had these conversations with a lot of people these days who have just asked me how my life is, and my response is good, like things are going well. And then I think about it and it's like everything is objectively going well from like a career and a personal and a relationship standpoint. But then internally, I feel like there is still a lot of uncertainty and just anxiety I feel with life in general. And so wanted to have a real conversation about this topic today. And I definitely knew this wasn't a conversation I could do alone. So I have two of my close friends from business school here, and we're all going through similar stages in our life, but also different things personally. So wanted to bring Darshana and Daisy today to just dig more into this question. So I'd love to just have the two of you introduce yourself a little bit and talk about where life has taken you since it's been almost a year since we graduated now.
Hi, I'm Darshana. I'm very excited to be on Three Takes. Since graduating business school, life has been a little bit of a fun ride. I graduated without a job, so a lot of my time after graduation was job hunting, especially in this fun market and crazy economy. Life has just been a lot of ups and downs in terms of the job hunt, but I actually ended up getting a job end of last year, which has been great. And so I've been starting that for the last 3 months, getting into the rhythm of being employed and working as a brand manager. It's been fun to exercise a side of my brain that I've never really used before. But I totally relate to what you were saying, Ishana, of like, this is a great success and achievement. And I should be, anyone who's asking me like, how are you doing? I should be going, oh my God, I'm doing amazing. Like life is amazing. And it actually is, like life is amazing. But I think being 20 something in New York has its own set of, I guess, like challenges, but also like great things as well.
Yeah.
And maybe Daisy, you want to go into that on yours?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Daisy. Thanks for having me on Three Takes. I guess like what happened since business school has been a little different. I had an internship in the summer. I work in corporate finance, and I ended up working part-time at the same company over the school year. And then obviously started full-time after graduation, like pretty shortly after. And so I had been anticipating this role for a long time. Ishana and Darshana both know I was really checked out of school. So I was really excited to start work. But even with that, starting work, I, had been at this workplace already. I had already known my manager before I started. And it was still pretty scary. Like I had a lot of anxiety going in. There were many things I had to learn. One of the things that my manager and I had talked about over the last almost year was building confidence and how to show up as a female in a male-dominated workplace and really bring yourself. And then that really comes to the question of how do you design your personal life to bring you the energy that you need every day? And that actually has been also really challenging. My boyfriend we see each other fairly frequently, but it is still long distance. He's not in New York. He's moving here later. And so sometimes independence, sometimes like being together, there was a lot of back and forth. And so all to say, for me, there were a lot of adjustments in my personal life in order to show up at work the best that I could and bring my best self to work, and obviously work through difficult days at work, sometimes by myself, sometimes with my support system, figuring out what my support system looked like. So it's been an adjustment. I am actually, like what Darshana said, I feel really lucky to be in the city. I've been in the city for a long time. This is probably as close to my ideal life as I could have had. One of the reasons I really wanted to start work was to make money, and now I have money to do the things I want to do. So I feel more free, but freedom, even then, I don't make enough money to do whatever I want. I still have a job. So it's a lot of navigating and balancing, and we'll talk more about it.
I think what you said, Daisy, there with the dream life thing is so true, because this is like the dream life that I wanted.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm in New York, I'm 20 something, I'm single, I'm dating, like I'm living a job or working at a job that I really love, and all of these things. I have great friends, like all of these things are such things that I've dreamt of and I've wanted for so long, and it's been so amazing to have it. And that's it. Like I should just be like, yeah, that's it. There's no but like this is my dream life. But it's also just like, okay, so like what's next? Like now that I've
It's
achieved
Funny
this.
when you hit what you call on paper your dream life, I think
Yeah.
something that we were talking about, it really starts shifting internally where you're like, okay, externally I have everything. I know there's always this talk of practicing gratitude and you are great. It's not like you're not grateful, but sometimes you're like,
Yeah.
but what's after this? Like, this can't be it.
Yep. Exactly what you guys are saying. New York is a dream for so many people. Even right now, when I watch certain TV shows, I'm watching Love Story right now, and like all of it's like filmed in New York. And I'm like, I know some of these like spots and areas, like people would love to live here. But there's also just like challenges of like, you see people literally like running to work in the morning. Like it is such a go, go, go culture. And then part of me feels like I need to be go, 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 which I naturally am. But then you also just like hit this mental breaking point of like, there are so many choices to make. There is such little time. It's almost like I feel like sometimes I have this mindset of I need to maximize every single second of my day. And I don't know if that's this mind shift that has happened since I've been living here or just like the generation that we're in. Because I definitely don't think like my parents had that mindset of like everything needs to be like the best of the best.
I think it's interesting to see this, like, all of our friends are around the same age as us. And like some of them are married, some of them are buying houses, some of them are starting like families. And people like me are ambitious, career driven, like looking for the next job or finding a partner. Like we're all in these different phases. And I feel like maybe it is a little bit to do with New York, but I've been in this like sprint mindset, like especially after graduation, I was desperately looking for a job. I was expending all of my energy just to reach this goal. And I've reached the goal, I've done it. And now I'm kind of just like, the next goal is coming up, but it's no longer right in front of me. I've been using this metaphor with Ishana because she's a runner, but I'm like, I'm doing sprints, but now I'm in like marathon mindset. Like I'm thinking about things in a very long-term point of view now. Like the end goal has moved way farther out. It's now like 2 or 3 years away because that's when I'm tracking for my next job or tracking for finding a partner, things like that. And I feel like that go, go, go mindset makes you a little exhausted when you're running a marathon because you actually have to hold that stamina.
I agree. It's actually interesting. My parents are immigrant parents from China and they have done so well. They've done so many things. I'm very proud of them. But because they've always been go, 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 I've grown up with go, go, go mindset. But what's been interesting for me, I'm a very type B person. I love spontaneous things. I don't love planning. I mean, for what it's worth,
Ishana and I are like, can't relate.
I'm like, oh my God. The idea of not having a plan stresses me out.
I am like a wake up and see what happens kind of person. I guess it makes sense. I studied art history and art, visual arts in college. I feel like there's a side of me that's like very not business school, but life taught me that I need a salary. And that's why I went to business school and I did all these things. And I mean, I've been in very competitive environments for school and whatnot. So I can do it. I don't think it's in my core. And so, but because I've done it for so many years, it's become so ingrained that it actually has been harder than I thought to step back from it. So for me, it's been this process of figuring out how to maybe unlearn some of the things that I've learned in terms of this very competitive part. And, you know, it's one thing that I realize, it's one thing for me to just say right now, like I am a like fairly chill, relaxed person. But when it comes to having nothing to do, like if I do truly wake up with nothing to do, sometimes I don't know what I want to do. And given like there are a lot of constraints in the city, I was talking to a friend about this. It's like money is a constraint, time is a constraint. And sometimes when you just have a day, it's like, what can you really do with a day versus, you know, I want to pursue an art project and that would take like 3 months. Like I don't have 3 months. I have to go to my job in 2 days or tomorrow. So that changes things. It's just not, I don't sometimes feel like I have the freedom. For instance, I love to travel and I can't. It's like, I don't have that much money. I don't have that much time. I can't just take off of work whenever I want. So then I end up feeling really claustrophobic. So it's been hard to work through that. And yeah, to your point about the go, 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 how do you balance that? It's like, and then on the other hand, I do have to stay ambitious at my job. I do have to show up. I have to be on time. I have to plan. So it's been hard figuring all of that out.
It's like, even you saying that, I'm like, yep, I have to do that, I have to do that, I have to. And the mental exhaustion, just like, even this weekend for me, it was like, I just like needed to do nothing because I was like, things just like caught up to me so quickly. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, we're starting right back at it next week. Like, for work. I don't know if you guys have had this sentiment, but like since graduating school, it kind of feels like, okay, now we're just like working the rest of our lives. And everything I feel like up until that point has been like, oh, it's temporary. Like I knew that the internship was going to be 10 weeks. I knew that school was only 2 years. And so it made it seem like an easier process to like handle. And now I'm like, okay, am I just like going to be a consultant forever? Like, is this the lifestyle that I'm supposed to do? And there's a lot of the back and forth of like, yes, on paper, this looks really good. Right now, financial security is really important to me, and that's the focus. But like, I think where the uncertainty lies is like, it's not giving me 100% happiness and 100% purpose. And so there's this balance of like, I'm doing my job right now because I need to. The market's shit and I need money. But how do I balance it with things that I want to do? And how do I figure out what I want to do when I have like no time to do anything, really?
One of the craziest things that I've actually learned to do that's been surprisingly helpful is I have a friend, one of my best friends. One of the things that I always think about, she is like, I can't do something unless I'm having fun. And I always think about that. Like, what does it mean to have fun in all the things you do? And so it's a hard mindset to have. And we've talked about this over many years. She's been a friend for many years. It's like you have to create your own fun. And so I think about that all the time. What does it mean to create your own fun? And actually what I've been doing, to your point about feeling like work lasts forever, is I realize I kind of need fun things. Like I need to look forward to a fun thing in like a few days. I need to look forward to a fun thing on the weekend. I need to look forward to a trip that I'm going to have. I need to schedule time for myself to have fun. I need to, like today, I didn't really make that many plans because I was like, I actually am going to schedule time with myself to be at home.
Do you think though then that creates this mindset of like, we need to just like constantly look forward to something as opposed to like what we're doing now? Because that is a challenge that I face sometimes, of like the only way I can get through the now is to have something to look forward to. And I have found that self sometimes being counterproductive.
I guess it works for me, but maybe it's different for everyone because it gives me something to look forward to. And it doesn't,
That's fair.
I don't think for me it negates what I'm doing in the present. Like I honestly sometimes go to work and I'm like, oh, this is so boring. And then I'm like, let me just go find something to do. As in it can be something as small as like, I'm just going to go find something. I'm going to walk to the kitchen and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then you kind of create an
fair.
adventure for yourself. So sometimes this can be on a much smaller scale. But to your point about like longer term, it's like scheduling a vacation. I was just talking about, I'm going to switch teams again in November. Maybe I should go home to Hong Kong then. And that's something to look forward to. So yes, in
Totally.
different scales. Sometimes, yes, I'm like, I hate my life right now. But sometimes it's like, okay, like, let's see what happens.
I think there's an interesting take on this because, I mean, it depends on what we do for our careers, right? Like up until recently, or actually even still, my goal was to have my career be something that I am passionate about. So like I did entertainment, I worked in beauty, I'm doing financial services right now, but like I'm working in a function that I am passionate about. Like I'm passionate about marketing. I really like that. So like for me, my career doesn't feel, or like my day-to-day job might feel like boring or whatever it may be. But the long-term perspective of this for me is that I'm actually enjoying where I'm at because I wanted to be here. And like looking forward to something, it would be psychotic of me to say that I look forward to going to work, but like the looking forward to something is like I look forward to this life. Like I'm so happy that I get to spend time with Ishana during the weekends, or like I get to see Daisy like after work, or I get to hang out with my friends in my building. Like there's a mix of both for me. Like I love the present moment because I know that it's so transient, like especially during the MBA program. Like I knew that those 2 years were going to go by so quickly. So I said yes to everything. Like I said yes to everything that I could do in the program. Whoever wanted to travel anywhere, I said yes to that. Like whatever club they wanted me to join, I said yes to that. Like, and I think that filled my cup a lot as well. Like just being present in the moment, but also I do think that the future looming in front of you can also be a little bit like, I don't know, scary to a certain sense, because you're constantly thinking about like, what's next?
Yeah.
Like, who else do I say yes to?
Yeah, that's fair. And I think to Daisy, your point, like it works for certain people. And I think something that has worked for me is like doing more of like the gratitude practice of like, okay, in those moments where I'm just like, why am I up building this deck at 11 p.m. right now? Like this makes no sense. But then like I do like the 5-minute journal in the morning and then at night. And then I'm able to write down like what are like 3 good things or like 3 things that I'm grateful for. And that I think recenters my focus a little bit of like, this deck is
Yeah.
going to be over before I know it. Like, I don't need to dwell on this for like ever.
Zooming out really helps.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of the times I especially get bogged down by the details because I'm an overthinker, but like zooming out to see that, oh my God, this life is like, we are privileged. Like I think
Yeah.
a lot of us, or actually all three of us, have immigrant parents. And so it's been interesting to see like they worked really hard to get us to where we are. And like
Yeah.
we have the privilege of pursuing jobs and a life that brings us happiness rather than like fulfilling an actual need. Like I feel like
Yep.
we have a lot more room for growth, but that also means that we have so many choices what to do with our time, like what to do with our lives, whether we're living up to those choices and actually giving, you know, our parents the bang for their buck, like
Yeah.
actually fulfilling the dreams that they had for us. And I don't know if you guys feel that pressure, if that even translates to pressure, but like I sometimes think about that. Like, am I really doing what I should be doing with this life?
Yep.
To this point about work, I get that. And I think something that I've been thinking about, I actually had a discussion with a friend about what it means to set goals. Because I guess maybe the looking forward to thing could be reframed as having goals to some extent. Because I really, there was a brief period after graduation before I started work in July where you can ask any of my friends, I was actually kind of depressed. Like I hated not having any, because it's like I only had time. I had no money. A lot of my friends were still working during the day. I love museums, but there are only so many museums you can go to. Like, there are only so many things you can do in the city without bleeding yourself dry. I didn't have the funds to travel. Like, as in, I just felt so stuck. And my boyfriend at the time was interning in the city, so he was going to work. And I actually felt FOMO from work. Like, I was like, I want something to do during the day. And I think having that, like, going through that agony almost made me really excited for work because in my worst of times, I do think, like, what would I rather be doing? Would I really rather be unemployed and, like, doing nothing and not having income? Actually, no. But okay, so that was that part of it. But the bigger thing was like coming to work. Obviously, it's still been a long time, right? It's like, and it's going to be a long time. I had a whole discussion with my friend because I think goals help me a lot. And one of the goals that I have is I want to be like a people leader or influencer, like whatever that means. Like basically, I want to be someone. It's like I almost want the specific role of being able to influence people in a positive way and to mobilize people to get things done, like whatever thing I need to get done. And that goal, it sounds vague, but to me it's specific because what it ends up giving me the chance to do is like, I'm pretty intentional about how I meet every single person, every single assignment I do. Yeah, not everything I do has like an end meaning, but I do think about one of the things I've been working on, for instance, is like, how do I tell a story out of data? I'm working with a spreadsheet. It may not, nobody may be asking me what the spreadsheet means, but I'll ask myself, like, what does this mean? So that if I did have to tell someone about it, how would I articulate it? And like, it becomes not so much like chasing an external goal, but really chasing an internal goal and building myself to be a better communicator, be a better whatever this can be. Obviously, I'm not saying I don't get tired from work, but I think that mindset has helped me. I guess like in some ways I was just in Japan and I think the work culture there is, it's interesting because they work super hard. I don't like, but the pace of life is just a little bit slower in some ways. And there's so much focus on dedication, like dedication to the craft. And that's something that I've been thinking about this past week as I've been back, where it's like, what does it mean to be dedicated to your craft? First, you have to define your craft. And if I do want my craft to be, let's say, really good at communicating and able to influence people in the workplace by the things that are happening and really understanding what's going on around me, that in and of itself is like a challenge that I can work on right now. So it's hard though. It's not always easy, but it's something that I've been trying to calibrate my brain to do, especially in
I do have a
downtimes.
question actually.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's really interesting because I have a very specific goal in mind for where I want my life and my career to go. Daisy has a specific goal for herself as well, but I think it might sound a little bit more generic to us, but it's very honed in for her. And Ishana, I'm wondering, because we've had talks before of like, where do we want to go with our lives? Like what you think about it. So I feel like we have very different takes in this. And I really want to know what you think from this perspective. Because yours is a lot more broad.
Mine is so broad because I ask myself that question every day. And I think part of the uncertainty and anxiety I face is because I don't have the true answer of like, what do I want to do in my life? And you know, I've said since I was like 10 years old, I want to be an entrepreneur. I grew up with entrepreneurial parents. I've seen them start from something from scratch, and I've seen just like the impacts internally and externally that you get from that. And so I've always had this dream of like, career-wise, I need to do things to get me to like start something. But now what I've been grasping is, okay, I'm almost going to be 30 and like I still don't have that idea. Like, when is it going to be like too late? And I think there's a lot of that guilt of like, all of us had parents that came to the US with like next to nothing, worked really hard. And by the time they were 30s, like kind of had life figured out. And I have that internal pressure of like, I don't have a single thing figured out. And I'm like, at what point will I figure it out? So I don't know. Like, when I think about like Maslow's like hierarchy of like needs and like where I sit on that, because for some of the listeners who like don't really know, there's like the psychological needs and then the self-fulfillment needs. So you start at the base of like psychological needs. So that's like your food, water, warmth, rest. And then you have safety needs, security and safety. Then you have belongingness and love needs. So that's more relationships and friends. Then you have the esteem needs. So prestige and that feeling of accomplishment. And then at the top is the self-actualization of achieving one's full potential. And so I think I'm kind of stuck at that top of like, I've got the psychological needs and there's this gap and like barrier I feel like I have to break to help hit like the self-actualization point.
That's that thing, like our parents fulfilled, or even our like families fulfilled the whole like physiological needs that we have, like for housing and clothing and like a roof over our heads. Those are all very basic things. And we're stuck in this self-actualization loop. And I'm wondering, do you guys feel, because I was struggling with this a little bit, like being ahead, but also behind at the same time. I've realized that you could feel both at once, depending on who you're comparing yourself to. Like career-wise, I feel great because I have a great role that I'm in. I'm doing the thing that I wanted to be doing. But maybe I'm feeling a little bit behind compared to you two on like relationships and like savings and finances and maybe a little bit more like personal life clarity. So like the feeling of being behind is really unstable, but also if you don't look at yourself in a different light, like you might not realize that you're actually ahead of your peers in a certain way. How do you guys feel about that?
I am like a true victim of like comparison culture. Like I can tell myself, oh, like I'm great. I'm doing the things that fulfill and that are an accomplishment to me. But like it is inevitable that I'm like constantly comparing myself to other people. And I have tried to like take certain measures. Like for me, like I've really reduced my social media usage because for me, that was like a huge area where I was like constantly comparing, and I've reduced that a lot. I still wake up and I'm like, I'm working with like people right at undergrad in my work who are like saying way more insightful things than I am. And I find myself comparing myself to them. And I have to remind myself like, they've been at the company longer. I've only been there for like 6 months. This is all they know. Whereas like I've had a whole different set of experiences, but that is a constant reminder I'm like having to do because it's easy to get trapped of like, I have done nothing when I actually have done a lot.
I think one of the things that I think about is in terms of comparison, I also struggle with this, especially just no matter how you cut it. It's like when you come from a competitive environment growing up, especially during school. Also, school is literally comparison central. It's like you literally have numbers to denote how good you are. Like schools, universities have rankings where there's a literal number that's attached
so
to how
true.
good that school is. I mean, this is why I always hated school. I just like, I was like,
Daisy was like ready to get out, and me and Darsh were like, we want to be in school forever.
Correct. We're like, please no more real world.
Like even as a young child, I was like, what is this crazy system? This is diabolical. This is like illegal. I should not be reduced to a number. So I had a lot of issues with this, but I'm still a part of the system, right? So I was still comparative. You can't get out of it just because you hate it. But then I think what has helped me a lot in the past, however much, like coming out of college, I guess on a personal journey, I think I'm pretty in touch with my feelings. I have a lot of feelings and I know what they are. And I've really worked on journaling to learn how to articulate them. And so now I'm pretty in touch with, I would say, myself. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. Whatever. All this stuff. I know myself well. But career has been a little slower for me. Like I, appreciate hearing that from you, Darshana, but I was literally just talking to my boyfriend saying how, dude, I got to save some money. I feel like I'm coming out net zero this year because I've been traveling so much. So I feel behind, and I have friends around me who are, super successful in different ways. But then I realized, like, one of my best friends, he has been a little bit of the opposite of me. He had an amazing job that he stayed at all these years since we graduated. And he is killing it in the financial department and career department. Like, he is doing so, so well. He bought his own apartment. Like, I am so proud of him. But then, like, for me, it's like, I don't have that. I just literally started this. I haven't even been at this job for a year, right? And I'm like trying to build my wealth. But on the contrary, like, he has like slowly been exploring like dating, and it's been a little harder for him. And I think for me, I've gone through like some shitty relationships, but I've learned a lot about myself through like relationships and friends.
Yeah.
I've worked really hard to intentionally build a support system that I love all my friends. I don't think that's an easy thing to say. I realize people don't always love the people who are around them. I've like worked on my relationship with my family. So I have things that maybe other people don't have. And then stepping even further back, we were kind of talking about this, but I realized that, like, for instance, I don't really watch TV, and part of it's because I get really overwhelmed. I get really sucked into storylines, but in some ways, not to trivialize my friends, but actually in a fully because I'm invested. I feel like all my friends around me have their own plot lines and storylines going on. And so when I see my friends, I feel like I'm in their stories and they're in mine, and we all participate. And so I don't watch TV because there's too many stories. And when I hear all these stories, I'm like, oh, I'm just another story. We're all just figuring it out, and we all have strengths and weaknesses. And that has helped me, I guess, detach. I know it's a very personal thing, so I don't know if it works for everyone, but it's been a nice mindset for what it's worth.
I can totally tell you were like a creative like arts major in college. Yeah. Like, honestly, the way that you're like storytelling, and you're like, I storytell everything, whereas my brain is like, the math isn't mathing. Like, I'm like not able to figure this out. You mentioned something though, Daisy, that has been able to help you, which is like journaling. Whenever you're comfortable sharing, like, how has that helped you really like be comfortable and like articulate the way that you feel and the way that you think? Because I think right now in our generation, we are like pretty much an open book, and we will like tell each other how we're feeling. But I think sometimes you feel it's scary to also be vulnerable because you are like, am I the only one going through this? So I'm just curious to hear like how journaling has helped you with this process.
Yeah, journaling. I started journaling because I went through a bad breakup a couple of years ago, and I was just totally miserable, as breakups are. And I just had so many feelings. It's like, it's one thing to share. And I tell all my close friends whatever's on my mind. But sometimes when you speak it, it just dissipates. It's not like you're not listening. It's just, it dissipates from my body. And then I don't really know where it went. It's just kind of in the air. Whereas when I realized for feelings, when I write things down, I honestly started out just doing stream of consciousness. Like, whatever. I would just be like, I am sad. And I would just start with that. And then I would just start writing why I'm sad. I feel sad because this went wrong. Like, I spilled some water on the ground, and then I had to, like, I don't know, drop something else, and I burned my pasta. Like, I would just write all these silly things down, and then it would just start to form. And obviously from that, then you're like, but why do I feel so disappointed? This actually wasn't really a big deal, or this actually was a big deal. I'm not letting myself feel how big of a deal this was. There are all these kinds of things that I feel like once you write it down, it's actually there. It's permanent. It's on paper. You can go back and reread it. Sometimes I actually go back and read my journal entries from when I was sad. I journaled a lot during recruiting. For more context, Ishana and I recruited for consulting. I was not successful in getting a job in consulting, but the end process was I was actually held out by my two companies. Usually in MBA recruiting, for those who aren't familiar, you get your result in 2 days. I didn't hear back from one company for 3 weeks, and the other company I didn't hear back from ever. Like, they just ghosted me.
Talk about the self-doubt and comparison culture during that time frame. Like, that's what we're...
Yeah. And the worst part was, like, during the interviews, people were like, one of the partners was like, that was the best elevator pitch I've ever heard. Another partner literally told me I nailed it in my final interview. And then I just waited for eventually a rejection. So I journaled like a maniac during those times because I had so many feelings of self-doubt and whatnot. And after you start getting used to putting your feelings on paper, you get better at describing your feelings. 100%. It's just a practice thing, I guess. And I think that really helped me. So was I mentally stable during recruiting? Absolutely not. Did I journal like a lot? Yes, I did.
I love that because I think I'm asking because in my therapy sessions, like something I'm trying to be that my therapist was like, you should do more of is right. Because I think it also helps you like separate reality versus your expectations. Because I think your
Yes.
brain just like makes these like situations that like sometimes are not like fact-based. And when you write it down and then you actually, to your point, like it's permanent, you're like, wait, no one actually said I'm like dumb. My brain was just like saying that based on like how I performed that day. So I do think that's a good almost like resolution of like how do you like take a step back and think through like what is actually true and what is not.
Daisy and I really connected about this in terms of like writing because I also love to journal. I've been journaling since I was like 13. I'm now what, 28? I forgot how old I am, 28 years old. I have 15 years worth of journals because I do like a birthday to birthday journal. And not all of those pages are full, of course, but it's like I just tried to keep, because my start of this was I thought that one day, I think I watched a movie or something like that where a family descendant or somebody went back to look at journals of their like matriarch and understood her life through her journal. So I was like, oh, so one day someone's really going to want to read my journals. So let me keep a log of my life. And so not that I don't even want to go back and read those journals, but I have written a lot of this down. And I think to what Ishana you were saying, and maybe from a therapeutic perspective as well, it's very cathartic to write something and realize the intensity of your thoughts are actually not that intense. Or like when you're writing something down and you're putting it into those words, you're kind of just like, that sounds really silly. Like this is what I was upset about, or like
Happens to me all the
what
time.
I was all the time. And I think it puts a lot of things in our life into perspective. And that part of journaling, whether it is for posterity purposes or for like actually just cataloging your life, it's been so cathartic for me to just put pen to paper. Because you're right, Daisy, like when you do, I love talking to you guys. Like I do trauma dump my life to you guys. we sit on phone calls and like we chat for hours, and I think that itself is really fulfilling as well. Like that's also cathartic, but actually writing it puts some place for it to go, like puts a location for these thoughts to sit, and then you can revisit them more in a more solidified way.
I have a question for you guys. I mean, journaling is one of the ways that I self-regulate, but sometimes I don't. I know, Ishana, you like running. I've been trying to run more. I think about you when I run. I actually just did like interval training the other day at the gym, and I was like, I don't know how Ishana does this. I want to die.
Every
so it's
time
really
I
hard.
run,
No,
I
every
think about
time I
Ishana.
do it too, I'm like, why am I doing this? But
I literally think about you anyway. So I was just wondering what other. I've been trying to look for grounding activities that don't always cost money, which is really hard. I love a good like meditation class or whatever, but that's also like $60 out of your pocket. So what are some of the ways that you
my
guys
God.
self-regulate?
Ishana's so good at meditation, by the way. I was in Australia with her. We did a program together in undergrad, during the MBA program. And Ishana and I were roommates. And every morning, without a fail, for the 2 weeks we were in Australia, she would just sit in the bathroom doing her little meditation for like,
That
10,
was-
15 minutes? Or like
yeah,
30
it was,
minutes
like,
every morning?
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah,
running out of the
Ishana's
house.
really disciplined about having, no, seriously, she's so disciplined about having this routine of like a morning routine in general, of meditating, of working out, of just like that discipline in general is so ingrained in her. And I would wake up like an hour after her, be like, should I go to the gym? Can we just go straight to breakfast?
I will say that's really nice of you to say. And also like somewhat like validating of like even just having someone like be like, I see the steps that you take to like try to improve yourself. I think like, you know, sometimes in my head I can be like, all right, like, is any of this like working? So that actually means a lot that you like.
It looks like it's working to me.
It does.
Thank
to
you.
me
But
too.
I think to your question, Daisy, I think of like grounding, to your point, that's not like a huge lift out of our day or like expensive. I've been trying like box breathing recently, which like literally on YouTube, it's like 5 to 10 minutes. And like, it's just a different form of breathing where you like deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And like, sometimes I've found myself of like, when you're like, oh, let's just like walk to the kitchen, I'll maybe like do that on my like walk to work. And it does ground me a little bit in the moments of like high stress and high pressure. And like, I think the simple act of like when you calm down your breath, naturally the thoughts in your brain have to, because like you can't do both at the same time.
Mhm.
So that's been something that's really helpful. And I think another thing is like honestly just like being more open about like you guys saying, right, like how am I like running, whereas like I have like a lot of struggles with running certain times too. And I think just like the more and more I talk to like people in my circle about like not everything is as good as it looks, I think just like makes it feel more normal that like not every day is like a great day.
I will say I got inspired by Ishana to pick up running last year. So I started running outside, and it's super fun. Like I love the runner's high, and I think it's been really helpful for my mental health. But even before that and continuing to this day, I've been a walker. Like I love walking. I think New York is really amazing for that because you can walk literally anywhere if you live in Manhattan. But also I'm really close to like my office is close to the West Side Highway. So I've been doing this recently where I just take lunch walks. So I mean, now that the weather is not 20 degrees outside, I've been walking outside for at least 10, 15 minutes during lunch if I can get away, because one, I've realized I can't just sit at my desk. I'm a little bit restless like that. But two, the fresh air and just the process of walking helps me self-regulate so much. Like it is so clarifying to me to move, but not in a like a high impact or high intensity way, but in like a very low impact, low pressure, just walk aimlessly. And I've been trying to get really good at walking without my headphones in because I think I use music as a way to like escape and not have this like mind body connection. But I've been trying to walk aimlessly without a purpose, without music, without distractions, and just be present. Because I mean, to revisit something that we were talking earlier, like we're very overstimulated in our lives, in the city, like in the current moment. It's been really nice to just breathe. And all of this, like all of what we're saying, I feel like comes to the same point of like Ishana's box breathing, like Daisy, you do yoga and meditation. Like a lot of it is slowing down our bodies, our heart rates, our minds in a world that makes everything want to go faster.
I love that. And I think that's like a really good way to close out this episode. You know, like something I've learned from this is the phase of life that we're in isn't really about like having everything figured out. It's more about learning how to like move forward with the uncertainty, because like we cannot control what's uncertain and what the answers are, and how can we stay grounded in what matters to us as opposed to just like confining in what the people around us are doing. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. I think something that my mom and my sister and I typically do at the end of these episodes is what have we like taken away from what each other have said. So would love to get your thoughts of like, was there anything like new or insightful or just like a takeaway from our conversation today?
I appreciate you having this podcast and having us on to talk about this topic, because I think there is an increasing like community, or like there are more and more spaces for people to discuss these things. But at the end of the day, sometimes it gets me down. It's like you go to work, you have to be your best self. You can't be too vulnerable. And so I spent a lot of my life curating who I need to be or want to be or whatever, all of the above. And so it has been just so refreshing to have such an honest and vulnerable conversation about these struggles that we all go through. And honestly, it feels like, you know, now, and I think moving into like the next few weeks, it feels a little bit less daunting when we're all doing it together. And it's nice to know that we can always like talk about it and share.
To what we were all talking about, we're very privileged to have like such a good girl group. I feel like we have really good friendships and fulfilling relationships with our friends and our families that help us talk about these things. So I love being on this podcast because one, I know Ishana, your mom and your sister have these conversations every day. It's so cute. And I think that's something not all of us have. And not everybody has like female friendships like this either. So I love that we are able to be open and honest and vulnerable on a platform where people will listen to this hopefully and think that like, oh my God, these are things that I talk about or I think about, but like I don't really maybe have a place to discuss it. So it's really nice that we're doing this. But overall, I think maybe something that we were talking about, comparison culture, maybe the goal isn't to stop comparing. It's to actually know what you're like optimizing for, because the real shift in this phase of life is moving from external validation to internal validation or internal like definition. So deciding what success means for you and being okay if it doesn't match the people around you. Like deciding your own timeline, your own plot line, the way Daisy was saying earlier. Like, it's been really nice to know that we're all comparing ourselves. We're all thinking through our lives. Like, we are the main characters of our own lives. And it's nice to know that we're all feeling that at different places or at like different places in our lives.
Totally.
So that's, I think, my main takeaway from this is like, kumbaya moment, or if we're all the same.
Yeah. And there's comfort in knowing you're not alone.
Yes, 100%. Thanks, Ishana. It's all about the climb.
Cue Hannah Montana 20th, what,
Right,
is it 20th
right.
anniversary.
This is the sponsorship we need. Disney, where you at?
True. No, thank you guys for joining. I think to our listeners, like, would love to get your thoughts on like the phase of life you're in, maybe some of the uncertainty that you all are feeling, because I think it helps us, going back to the question of like, we don't really feel alone in this process when we are able to come together. And this also helps us figure out what other topics we can continue to do on our podcast. So thank you all for listening, and thanks Darsh and Daisy for joining.
Yeah, of course. I hope your
Amazing.
listeners, if they like us more, they can ask us to come back.
Come back.
Thanks for joining us on 3 Takes. If something we shared sparked a new thought or opened up a conversation with someone you love, we want to hear about it. DM us on Instagram at 3.takes, email us at connect@3takes.com, or visit us at www.3takes.com. And if this episode meant something to you, share it with another mother, daughter, or sister in your life. It's how we grow and keep the stories moving.